Hey everyone, it's me, your favorite hedgehog, Guil the Hedgehog. Or at least that's so I think. But yeah, the damn thing just got out of focus for a little bit, but I got a bit of a little topic I wanted to share with you for a bit of time being. So, for the time being, I'm doing, let's say, a bit of a psychological experiment on myself. I got myself like an image over there, which is like the thumbnail I'm gonna use, but edited on Photoshop, of course. But before I start, in case if you're wondering about the smoke grenade Molotov, I never opened it, but it's gone. The smoke's gone, and I didn't touch it anything. But there should be other better ways to isolate the vape inside. But anyways, let's get right into it, shall we? So, of course, I'll get myself here a bit of a something here. Also, I should probably get myself a little bit of disguise here. There we go. But now, of course, I'll be telling you a bit of a stories about a few stories that I remember about my childhood and my experience in the in the playground. Well, I gotta have a better accuracy for that. Anyways, to begin with, to start off, I always remembered myself being, let's say, just get a little bit closer because it's better this way. And there we go. Focus the camera just a little bit more on me. There you go. This should be good. Even though it looks awkward as hell, but hey, what better ways can I do, right? At least get to relax down here. I'll better relax, despite the fact you only have to get to see the golden part of the German flag, but it's alright. So, as I was saying, like, when I was little, despite the fact of me taking meds and whatnot, sometimes I even question my the capability of me remembering these stories, but hey, apparently I do. And, I gotta think of myself quite a few stories to begin with. Because the McDonald's play pit from the playground for me when I was little, it used to be fun, but at a price. Oh boy! And again, you might consider yourself, but yeah, well, yeah, let's say it's just a bit of showing you my own personal experience, and I stole a bit of experience from my brother since he told me a little bit, but it's just for documentary, just to keep it around here. So, okay, so the first ever time that I went to a McDonald's playground, I was little, of course, in Brasilia. When we used to go with my grandma, I always would want to go to the playground and everything. It was fun. I admit that it was fun. I always want to go to slides. So I would like to swing around and whatnot. So when I got to the McDonald's playground, I thought it would be paradise and whatnot. Yes, the concept and idea does sound good, but in theory, this little one. But in reality, it wasn't really that great because how it started, like there was this one kid. I think he was my friend. I think he was a little bit of mentally retarded. I think I kind of doubt he remembers me at this point, but who cares, right? I just hope I didn't lose that stuff. But anyways, this kid here next to me, he was crying because he wanted to go out, but I don't know. I think there was this one other kid where he didn't let him go to the bathroom because he wants friends to play around the ball pit. Child logic at this point. And yeah, this should be quicker. And when I really got to see about it around, I was just curious. I was just sitting there in the corner, just watching what the hell they were doing. And boy, oh boy, because then that kid really have himself quite a bit of a smart idea. The other kid was, let's say, the typical childhood bully, didn't let you go out even for a bathroom or whatnot. He squatted down, pulled down his pants, and took a piss down in the ball pits where other kids play and whatnot. He did take a piss. I remember that because every time I walk into a McDonald's where at the playground, it comes to me this smell of kid piss, and I recall all my Vietnam flashbacks that I've had, and I was too innocent to realize at that point. But who cares? But yeah, back to the story. When he did, let's say, any of the bully realized it, he kind of said, "Oh God, I'm out of here," and everyone just kind of got away from the ball pits. Yeah, and I was like just there, just sitting like, what the fuck just happened? And then of course I've spent some time around there. If I did touch there, I can't really say, but I just hope that I didn't touch the infected area. But then again, came the moment that I wanted to go badly to the bathroom. Except that I didn't squat down. I just pulled down my pants with my willy up showing to all the guests, and I took a piss in the ball pits. I was showering the freaking ball pit all over. I think my parents were too ashamed to go out there and get me out. So when I was done, of course, I just got out of there and whatnot. And I think and of course, my parents did scold me afterwards because it ain't normal for that. Oh boy. Okay, so again, I think it was just in the past months. I think it was like 2 years old, 2 or 1 year old, like playing around. Of course, I had in myself pretty much a bit of a creative imagination and whatnot. Hold on a second, let me just reset the timer. Sorry. But anyways, as I was going to say that, the kid, I mean, I used to have myself a bit of a quiet imagination, and it's safe to say that I kind of do. When you see me playing a Garry's Mod and whatnot, because sometimes I have to use my creativity to come up with engineering and all that stuff. I mean, even if you grow up, your childhood imagination is lost, you might get it again by learning engineering and whatnot, because it facilitates in the meanwhile. But back to the story. I used to go around and I think it was like another restaurant. I always like to dive around in the ball pit, let's say, pretending it was either an airplane, a helicopter, a submarine, that kind of innocent kid stuff. Except that oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. When I was, let's say, playing, let's put it as playing submarine. Screw it, because wow. Because when I was playing submarine, I was diving. This is like the level of the ball pits, and this is where I was. I mean, this is the ground. This is where I was. So when I was diving down, of course, like say smelling would, let's say, be something smelling bad would be something normal for me, but until the moment I saw myself. Hold on. I saw myself a piece of shit so big that it obviously didn't came from a child's ass. It's like adult human male shit. No, male, female, doesn't matter. Because it was like let's see. I think it was this size, if I'm not wrong or anything. It's it's something around that in that sense. I just of course, being a submarine. Oh boy, it's kind of it's kind of weird about this, but because I remember I did picked it up. It was dry. It was hard. And it was long. So I just picked it up and I shoot to everyone and say, "Hey everyone, I'm playing a submarine and I just found myself here a fish." And again, I myself managed to successfully shock in the entire customers of an establishment of McDonald's. If it was like another establishment of McDonald's, Wendy's, doesn't matter. So I just showed that to everyone like this, like a freaking happy little chimpanzee, and everyone just looked at him like, "What the fuck is that kid doing?" And I don't know if they closed the restaurant, but I think growing up older now that we learn some things that when some shit do happen like that, I think maybe someone must have broken into the establishment and snuck in, did whatever damage they could, maybe robbed some cash, I don't know, and left some shit in the ball pit. And of course, when I realized, when people do that kind of stuff, the police comes, they examine the DNA to see who was responsible for doing that, and it's more than obvious to say that they obviously captured the guy. I mean, there's no questioning that. What else? Because in stories like these, it's quite hilarious actually at some points. Then what else? Oh yeah, let me think. Oh, you gotta see this one. I'll give it to you a bit of a show once as soon as I'm done here with the stories. Okay, so let me think. The story. I mean, let me remember. Of the stories that I also remember. Now this one here is like when I was mostly around 16, around 14, somewhere around that age. I think me and I think no, it was just me and my family around the establishment. What else? There was this. Of course, it was like a huge castle thing that you used to climb around, do all kinds of toys and funs for the puzzles and everything. It's fun. I'll admit it. It was fun at that time. Now I just gotta relax a little bit now because I know the week's gonna be long. I'll have tests and whatnot, so there's that. But it happened out. But back to the story that there was this one kid that was like ahead of me, and of course I was falling behind. But I don't know if she had some sort of bladder problem, because how would I say? It's like shit. How can I say? How can I say this one? Like like there's like this weird type of ladder. Let's say one step here, one step here, one step here, one step here, and you had to climb it up. Believe it or not, actually, despite the fact it might be a little bit of attempted architecture project and whatnot, it became a freaking piss waterfall. How did I know it was piss? Because of course I saw it was water and everything. It was outside. The weather wasn't set to I mean, the weather wasn't rainy or anything, because when I look over there and I see the thumbnail, oh boy, the unedited version, because of course I'm gonna have to edit. I kind of don't know what to say about it, but yeah, laugh of course. But as I was saying, I fall around. At the moment, it was like dripping wherever I go for. It led all the way to the slide, so I kind of climbed down the slide without touching too much of the water until let's say I saw the trail of the water leaking towards a little girl. Yeah, I remember that moment because it was a little bit scary for me as a well preteen, I should say. I went to the employees and I notified them about it, and oh boy, it's gross. I'll tell you that. So they had to close it down again for for I don't know for how many days. Then again, because sometimes back at that time I used to go some occasionally with friends and family to McDonald's and whatnot. And it was fun. I'll admit that. I miss those times when let's say times were simpler. I was more intact of myself back then. But I'll tell that about that some other video, so you can get a bit of a grasp in my own reality and why I get sometimes so at some moments. But that's something for something else. 1 second. Okay, so I don't know if I'm ever going to go through another stories like these ones, but okay, so again, this time's gonna come over to the parts of my little brother when he used to be younger. He used to have a lot of friends at school. Well, he still has friends at school, of course. But the thing is, I'm just put this near me. Huh. Strange. Hold on a sec. Let me just let's see if this thing is still good. Yeah, it's good. No matter. Despite you saw my little smoke coming out of here, but again, don't smoke, don't do anything stupid. Even if people say like, oh, you should do this, you should be like a whole lot more famous or whatnot. But no, it's bullshit. You being yourself, and you're cool as you are. That's as cool as you're ever gonna get in life. You being yourself. Now, I almost pre-puked. I had a rare pre-puke going on, but because it will get very, very gross from one here to another. What was it again? I was gonna say there was this one kid at the McDonald's. No, it was not McDonald's anymore. It was like another party buffet, something like that. Me and my little brother, he used to go around to friends and whatnot. Okay, hold on a second. I just need to use my hand here to see if there's like a little piece of dirt on my screen. There you go. It's better. There was just like the party buffets and whatnot. Same thing as McDonald's. A huge plate castle and whatnot. Except that the format of the slide, for it to be longer, gave an opportunity for a devil child to do his work, his maleficent work that basically no one would have expected at that moment. So what didn't happen was that since the slide, it was let's say, like it's like it goes around a loop until it goes down. So what really happened then? You might be asking to so that it would be that bad. Well, it turns out that the devil child, he just pulled down his pants and he used the freaking slide as a freaking toilet for his own, let's say he had diarrhea. I don't know if that's true or not, but I mean I know he can, let's say the type of very pasty diarrhea, because judging by the analysis that I can give it, he had, let's say, a very pastry diarrhea, so he just pulled down his pants and let it all go down. Of course, to avoid suspicion, to me it sounded like that kid, that devil child, was like a smart one. I'll have to say that, because he crawled down the slide, even though there was like a window. Everyone would see him and whatnot, but I don't think anyone was giving a shit at that moment. He crawled on to the slide where like no one would suspect a thing. However, it did get the suspicion of let's say one unsuspecting victim. You might be thinking it wasn't one of the employees that would came there to clean out, right? And have a happy ending. Turned out that no, it was not as good ending as it ended like that. It turned out that according to my little brother, was like another little girl who she went up the freaking play slide. I don't know if he, no wait, because if he did take a shit at the start, then she would see it and she wouldn't go in, call the employees and everything. But turns out it's gonna get way better than this. I'll tell you that. But it turns out that this one child, she went into the slide, she slid down normally until it became a little scene of a horror movie. Because in some horror movies where, let's say, someone looks at like a sewer hole and they hear a scream, that's exactly what happened. And then came the shit, let's say, dripping out of the edge of the freaking slide, just dripping down that volcanic human waste. It took a bit of while. Everyone was starting to get worried, and they all started gathering up at the edge. Let's say, just trying to talk to her. Let's say, she was like screaming so much, and after a few seconds, she did came out, and well, I'm forgetting something, because when she was there, of course, at vomiting, that amount of because that amount of shit that she was, let's say, covered in, of course, if you would feel, let's say, all that cold, human, gooey waste all over your skin, it would upset your body completely, and of course you would vomit without no stop. So, judging by the fact, it was a very pastry diarrhea that one kid he did, so I'm starting to suspect that, well, her puke and the kid's vomit made it thin enough so it could, like, slide away all down and just start to drip in the ground, and I see a horrific nightmarish scene that no one would ever dare to live in. But unfortunately, she did. And that's where things get better, actually. No, they don't get better, actually. As a matter of fact, they kind of do get better, because after some point, even though she's covered in shit, of course, traumatized and crying and whatnot, she's out and she's alive, so that's something to be proud of. But again, you think like they would close down for the place for clean and whatnot, right? Turns out that yes, they did close down the place, but it's not for cleaning. It was for quarantine. Exactly, the shit that climbed up was so bad, it went up to quarantine. So you probably would have an idea of how bad it would be. Okay, so there's that. So if I'm not mistaken, you know what? I might as well just throw in, let's say, another story here, because why the hell not? So 1 second, let me just reset the timer. Alright. So apparently, this one. So apparently, this one. Let's say this one buffet that my brother, of course, he with a new grade, new friends, because some pass, some don't, and classes do change. It's all matters. Just crazy bullshit. However, compared to if you think like the last one was, let's say, the kid down the sewer, the kid down the sewer pipe. Hold on, let me just avoid the voice cracks. The kid down the sewer pipe was bad enough. Oh, wait, wait until you listen to this one, because it's going to get really, really good. So, you know how some toddlers, every little kid sometimes just, let's say, runs around, does all that kind of does all that kind of crazy shit. Let's say just go around screaming and jumping around and doing whatever the hell they want to do. Cause why the hell not? Turns out it was exactly like that, as what he can told me about it. Because of course, sometimes of the stories, if someone would tell and say if it would be an absurd or not, I would just just for the heck of it, I just don't give a shit if it's true or not. Sometimes I just like to sit down and take the time to analyze the facts, let's see, to see how possible it would be, let's see, and how would be the best way for it to happen. Then again, if it did happen, because if it happened the worst way, then people are in there are definitely stupid. So I was gonna say again that back to the story. That let's say the kids are all just playing around shit. So apparently my brother, he, of course, at the moment he was a little bit older than those kids. He was annoyed. He was annoyed as hell. He would play some games that of course that they have on a computer. I think I went to that buffet once when I was, let's say, around no, I don't know which age I was at that moment. Uh, Maybe 16, 17. Well, my previous story was like 14 around. I don't know. It's a mix for me, a timeline. I don't remember things properly. But yeah, when my brother, he was, let's say, he was bored around. He also told me that, like, let's say, he played around some games, let's say, in the computer they had, let's say, Call of Duty to play over there. It was Modern Warfare 1 at the time. So boom, isn't that interesting, am I right? Yes, it could be interesting. In fact, I mean that I played, let's say, Call of Duty 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 1 and whatnot, and he played as well too. Browse internet, YouTube, and all that stuff. It turns out that, let's say, shit there went down the drain fast, because I don't think even the employees were probably prepared for this type of hell that anyone could expect to go through, because they went in there, they got a type of hell that they never expect, because the kids, I don't know if there was just painting. I don't know if the kids were painting the walls and whatnot, but just keep it this way in hand. I don't know if the kids there was, let's say, the type of kid, let's say food finger painting on the walls. Let's say just dip your finger here in the sauce and, let's say, draw some random shit. Just draw mommy and daddy and dinosaur and my doggy Rex and shit. But no, but no one was prepared for that one. That I can guarantee for sure. And but the things got worse when my brother, of course, after eating a lot of, let's say, snacks and mini pizzas and sodas, he went to the bathroom, right? So you thought you'd probably expect the bathroom. He would have been he would have been more safe, right? Turns out, no, it was not. So so oh wait, one second. So, So, wait 1 second. So I'm just open the door. 1 second. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. But anyways, let's see. My mother brought me a nice piece of homemade bread that, you know, my father, he decided, let's see, stop going to the bakery. I don't know for what reason, let's say wasting too much money and whatnot, so he now makes homemade bread. And it's quite useful, I must say. Especially when you have all the ingredients and, let's say, outside a huge frostbite and can't even go outside to get anything. You just have the ingredients and just go fully Italian. And boom, you have it. Despite the fact that I got myself here a German flag, but anyway, that doesn't matter. Problem is, if I had a drink here, that would have been better. Just dry up. Damn it. 1 second. And there we have it. At least I got myself a bit of a drink. Not just a bread, but if you can see here, orange juice. Turns out, during my classes of physical education, you know what? I'm gonna save that to the end because it's better. Because it's better for me to just, let's say, shoving up content that doesn't make any sense in the middle of the way, and then it'll get like shit and whatnot, right? Of course it does. It does become shit. So, turns out that when my brother he went to the bathroom, you'll probably think like things would have been better, right? No, not at all. Not at all. Hold on a sec. Yeah, I might need to shave it here back again, but it doesn't matter. Anyways, as I was saying, when my brother he went to the bathroom, he told me that there was this one kid amid all the chaos happening in the main areas, in the boys' room. There was this one kid. I think he went fully chimpanzee because, for what I can tell me, like he was covered in shit, and of course he was just like doing like shit finger painting on the walls and everything, and not to mention as well that the little bastard was pissing all over the areas as well, like pissing on the sink, pissing on the faucet, pissing on the walls, pissing around and everywhere, even on the freaking floor, not even in the stalls or anything, just straight up in the middle of the floor, no matter where he was unloading his wee-wee. So, and not to mention as well the fact that I think it's quite a bit shocking that there was only one shoe in this kid's feet. Now, you might be wondering, where was the other kid's shoe, right? And you want to know where? It wasn't a freaking mirror. That goddamn kid smashed the freaking mirror with his other shoe. He got his shoe like, boom, right into the freaking mirror. He just, I don't know. He just went screw it, boom, right into the freaking mirror. And there's like mirror shards everywhere. On the sink at least, because thankfully he could have gotten hurt and everything, but just as my brother walked out, I think let's say some companies might, let's say, reconsider, let's say, child safety in some buffet establishments, because the freaking kiddo was taking a piss in the electrical plug. So of course you might as well think where could this lead to, right? Oh, it will only lead out to the best things that you ever expect it to be. Maybe we could try that in postal, see whatever that could do. Anyways, the kid he took a piss in the power outlet. So of course only a few seconds later, I don't know if the kid was electrocuted or not, but I think he was electrocuted, because when he sat back down, the power went out. Literally, you don't know, you hear like a loud noise, like a bzzz, something like that, and then someone would possibly realize and whatnot. But of course, he called mother before, so Of course, he went back. He went back. He went back home with my mother and everything. But when he did got out, on the ride home, we did see, let's say, an ambulance, a firefighter, and a police cruiser just heading to the establishment. And why, you might be wondering. And my brother was asking, let's say, and my mother was asking my brother, let's say, "Whoa, that's the buffet." Let's say, my brother's like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And of course, regarding the fact, let's say, everything was just gonna go bad, I think to survive, he would have said no, because a kid, let's say, taking a piss in the power outlet like that would probably be a little bit, would probably just be a little bit just beyond the, up and over the facts and whatnot. Because why the hell would you piss in the freaking power outlet? Oh boy. It was like it's obviously an electrical hazard. So let's say I have a power plug over there, and like say a kid with autism, like that, if it would only lead up to very good things. And would you look at that? The freaking video editor stopped working, motherfucker. You know what? Got myself a bit of an idea. So just get this out of the way. But anyways, let's see. I'm just preparing to say another video, so I'm just gonna watch the video. Let's say to where it ended up, and from there on out, I just could continue on. Let's say from the files that it would recall to, and then just continue on. As simple as that. That, of course, not for the content will be fully there, but it's great. But anyways, back to the story. Yeah. So then my brother is, of course, he didn't get called for some friends or whatnot, through the party buffets and everything. Only ones that we went together with family really were the ones that proved to be worth it, because the ones that he went all by himself were, let's say, hell. So yeah, it was only just these two that he went all by himself, and at least he's thankful that he didn't participate. He didn't partake in any more freaky buffet parties of what any random things could have happened. Okay, so let's see. So let me see what else. Oh yeah. So also, let me just reset the timer here. So yeah, before you just keep on eating again, let's say. There was this yeah, it was you know back at, let's say, you're in school, let's say you're the hall monitor and whatnot. Even though, let's say, some people would say, yes, I've been the hall monitor, like, oh, I hated the hall monitor and whatnot. Well, yeah, I really like the hall monitor and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, the story is that let's say, hypocrisy. It's a bitch. I mean, to say with respect, it's literally a bitch of hypocrisy. Because, how might I say, my brother, he was the hall monitor until he gave up for some good reasons why. One of them were especially because of the reason that, how might I say, one was, let's say, there was this one little girl. No. Let's not go direct to the point now. He was just, let's say, walking around making sure everything would be correct in its point. Let's say he started that morning and works at let's say at evening, just patrolling the hallways, monitors, making sure everything's okay and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, everything, it used to be, let's say a good job, a good paying job, let's say. And of course, I think he got his grades up. I don't know if that's the thing or not, but or if I don't know. He didn't get into many details about that at all, and I never been a hall monitor, so how the fuck am I supposed to know? But anyways, he was one day patrolling, let's say, the entirety of the school until he heard in the interphone, "Hey, come over here to the director's office." Of course, he heard, let's say, oh, this can't be good. So he goes, of course, to the director's office as instructed. And then when he gets there, this was this one brat. Yeah. I mean, not say if it was a girl, but not say I'm a sexist or anything of that shit, because of course anyone that can happen to anyone, literally. After all, when he got there, so it was this was this one little girl. She was crying, and then she like say, "Oh, he punched me, he kicked me down, he stomped on me, he called me names and everything." And so on, only to just get into trouble. And of course, my brother, he was of course speechless, because I of course would be speechless in that case too. And I was just locked in shock at that moment over there of what could have really happened. Let's see, of every I mean. I was just, I was not even present over there. He was just, trying to deal with the situation, I would say. It was all going downhill for him. He was not having a good defense at all over the, for himself against his one child, because, even, the most prettiest types of girls around the internet and the most innocent looking can be the most venomous types of, well, with all due respect, the most venomous types of bitches you would ever expect to meet. But what else? Yeah. But then, of course, let's say when everything was all going downhill, there came, let's say, this one teacher, which was the most respected teacher in the school. So you can see the difference that it was weighing down. But whose favor was in for? For the little girl, or for my little brother? If you answer for my little brother, then then you get, let's say, a bite of my bread. So here, have a bite. Well, all right. But anyways, as I was trying to say that but as she went down, the teacher into the hallway, she already was, let's say, pissed off. Of course, let's say, this kid here is my student, and I can assure you that he would never ever do such a thing, and so on. And of course, she was obviously furious that things could really happen at that point. So there's that. And what else? So the things here was settled, and everything would be okay, right? Turns out that a few days later, about a week or two, my brother was called to the director's office again. Like, "Riverside, come back to here to the director's office again." And so he goes to the director's office again. This time, it's the same story, except it's a younger girl, and she's crying a whole lot harder. Sometimes I don't know if there was a, let's say, like a subliminal bullshittery that was going on just to get my brother kicked out of school, because he was a hall monitor, and people do everything just to get into power. No more, no less than a freaking corrupt politician. And what can we expect of that? Am I right? So it all happened the same thing. It was burning a whole lot more harder. My brother, he couldn't defend himself too well against the damn thing. Until came the teacher again, and this time she was way more pissed off than before. Of course, my brother ended up winning again, except that he said, like, you know what? Here. He takes off the alma mater thing, like, he said, like, I give up. He puts it in the director's office, like, oh, you sure want to give up? And I say, of course I want to give it up. If I only protect these ungrateful bastards, then why the hell am I supposed to protect them? Am I right? Literally, because why the hell not? Just keep on, let's say, just sitting there while having all these bastards just say you protect them, and they just keep on abusing you after a while. So what's the point? Am I right? And man, oh man. Hold on a second. Was there anything else that I could share you. Like sometimes we often joke a lot of of let's say I don't know. We do, let's say, a lot of dark humor jokes and whatnot. It's fun. I mean, it's fun to do that by yourself. Of whatever it can be. Like there's no one around that could be all triggered and ruin the mood and everything, and you probably would want to lynch that person with your own fist and whatnot. Well, let me just correct the damn thing because my chair just keeps on sliding away all the damn time. So apparently, no, leave it be. So yeah. So I think it was like I can't recall if he really went. Yeah, he really went on the school trip. I mean, it was fun and everything. Kids, let's say, doing that little chanting and whatnot. Like I used to work in Chicago, but I don't work anymore. I used to work in Chicago, but I used to work in a hardware shop in Chicago, but I don't work anymore. You repeat that twice, and then let's say one day a lady came into my store, and a random day. I mean, I'm just making it up. Let's say because I don't remember properly how it says, and then it was really repeating itself. One day, a lady walked into the store, and she asked me for a German method of a German method of coal excavation, and everyone, and a German method of coal excavation she asked for, and the one guy said, "Mein Schaft is what she got." Oh boy. But yeah, so after I got this huge detail out of the way, I have to reset the time. And of course, when he went to the let's say the road trip and everything, everyone, there's always that one kind of kid around the school, except that you image, let's say, some people who are just living in their mother's basement, just playing games and doing shit and whatever else the heck they may be doing. Turns out that, let's say, and of course, in the end of the day, they look like a boomer from Left 4 Dead, right? Turns out that, let's say, it would be kind of exactly the same image. The one kid, he told me that was in the freaking bus. The freaking bastard. He pulled out, let's say, some very smelly shit that I bet it was probably rotten. It was just like going like I don't know, like let's say I kind of feel bad for doing this, but I mean, you get the idea how the fat bastard was acting out. But yeah, you can see how well the fat bastard was acting out at some point. So I don't know if that kid did have himself some sort of mental, some sort of Tourette's or something like that. But he always told me that he always smelled like shit. If he did shit himself, we never know. But there's that. So yeah, but he had to endure that. Let's say going forward to the encampment and going back, because I would kind of feel bad if, let's say, someone did sit next to that type of person. And that would also reminds me as well. It's I kind of feel bad, every time I think about it. But sometimes I have to say just to get it off my chest. But of course, United States, you guys have GameStop. In Canada, we have EB Game with the maple leaf at the end of it. So when I was, let's say, shopping for, let's say, Xbox 360 games, even though, let's say, they're cheaper and they're more accessible and they're fun and everything, even though by the fact that I have myself, let's say, a Xbox 360 next to me here, and I do love it a lot. But I'm a brother, but not downloading, doing all the games and whatnot. So if it's worth it, I'd say yes. Of course, it's worth it. And yeah, so what else? Yeah, we're shopping over there, but it was Xbox. It was Xbox games that I was buying up. But when I look back in the line, there was this one. I don't know what thing that was behind me, but I don't know what the fuck it was holding. But it kind of looked at me. No, it didn't look at me. Let's say it kept looking to what product it was holding at hand. Their belly was, let's say it was so so big that here you go. It looked like it looked like this. I mean, kind of like this. It was sticking out from the belly, so you kind of have a good idea of how bad it would have been. And believe me, it was quite nasty as well, especially for the smell of sweat and piss as well that it came through. So I only had in mind just say to pay for the game, pay for the game, get the hell out of the shopping, even a lunch, take the metro, bus home, play games, and forget that ever happened in my life. And that's what I did, and I'd say yes, it was worth it. It was worth it for the game that I got, which I think it was. Oh boy, which one of these was it actually? Anyway, that doesn't matter now. But yeah. But yeah, I'm just glad I was able to get home in one piece without being, let's say, devoured by the boomer or puked on and having some pissed off video game nerds acting up like zombies on me, like Left 4 Dead, and I would have no weapons but my fist. I can only just shove him back, which of course we need a weapon to shove him back, according to the methods of how the game would work. But of course, I'm not saying, let's say, in a bad way that everyone that loves video games and nerd and everything, because you see, even I'm quite a bit of a nerd myself. But there's nothing I can do about it. I just am how I am. And being how you are, it's just, let's say, a very beautiful thing to have, I would say. So. But yeah, I think also that, shit, what else was it that I was thinking of, I had in my mind and then I forgot. Anyway, that doesn't matter now. But for now, I think that's all the stories that I can remember for some bizarre shit I've been through, and what I could really, let's say, tell. And of course, here's something that I was talking about. It's on. So yeah, let me just get this here. Everything here is set to the max. If you can ever hear me. All right, here you go. Oh, believe me, some things are just a little too fun to play around with. There we go. Yeah, let's just put the damn thing over here, and and yeah. And again, I just had a bit of a brainstorm of what I should do. You know what? I would probably end the video here by now, am I right? But yeah, the cameras here are a little too high. But you have to see, let's say, the beauty of the German flag over there, and boom, here we go. There we go. That should work. And it gets sucked into the fan over there. I'm just gonna leave this here for now. Gonna have to turn out the battery for it later on. But you know what? Let's say it's time for us to go to some reactions. Am I right? Let's see, for Walmart and McDonald's horror stories and whatnot. I mean, let's see the similarities of what could have happened and whatnot. So, see you there. Well, starting off first off with the top 15's top 15. Yeah, that's his name. Top 15 hilarious McDonald's Playplace stories. And I know it's a tongue twister, but screw it. Here we go. I'll be eating a bit of a snack when I'm in a while.
All of the following stories are from the Ask Reddit post, McDonald's employees, what is the worst thing that has ever happened in the Playplace? Number 15. It started as a fairly average Monday morning. A couple of kids got into a small fight, but we usually don't step in unless it's anything serious. Anyway, it's getting kinda late and I only had an hour left. Two kids got into a pretty big argument, lots of hair pulling, pushing, etc. I was feeling pretty tired that day, probably still hungover from the night before. Didn't really bother to do anything because it looked like their parents had noticed anyway. One of the kids was fairly older than the other one, and the mother of the younger kid was pretty pissed off that her kid was being bullied. The mother of the older kid was your typical lazy parent who doesn't give a shit about what their child is up to.
So so you can already see the recipe of destruction that it would lead up to. Young kid being bullied by older kid. Yeah, mother of younger kid being pissed off, and mother of older kid doesn't give a shit. So there you have it, a recipe for destruction of whatever else it could lead up to. But anyways, here we go.
And insisted it wasn't her problem. Now the mother of the younger kid looked extremely pissed off before they had even began to talk. I could visibly see her face growing redder and redder as each second passed. She told the other mom that she should bother to raise her kid properly.
You know what? I think I'm gonna get myself another piece of bread. That one was too good. Boy, oh boy. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I know this bread here. I'm eating here, homemade bread. I don't know what ingredient my father used, but it's really, really good. I mean, if I could offer you, let's say, a piece, I could just tear it off here and just give it to you here. But you know, technology not up to there at that point yet. But oh well. Let's keep on seeing the recipe of destruction now.
And said that her daughter should give her child an apology. The mother just shrugged it off and turned away. Apparently the mother of the younger girl didn't like that, because within seconds she grabbed her by the hair and slammed her face into one of the plastic slides. The rest of the kids simply watched in horror as the mother proceeds to push the woman headfirst into the ball pit while desperately trying to kick her in the head. The last thing I saw, she jumped up and tried to elbow drop her pro wrestling style. Quickly got my manager, who called the police. The mother was thrown into the police car, and I'm pretty sure they had to get an ambulance for the other woman. Needless to say, the Playplace closed early that day.
Wow. I don't know if, let's say... You know what? Even though, let's say, the funny thing is, let's say, sometimes the people who don't give a shit like that, sometimes they could be, let's say, insecure or not. They think like, oh, I'm so prepared than you and whatnot. But the thing is, if you let's say piss off, let's say, which I'm betting to be, let's say, a personal trainer or a gymnastist, something like that. Let's say that, you know, they can practice, let's say, some martial arts or something like that, or train martial arts. Believe me, training would be a whole lot worse. Then, of course, it was inevitable this would have happened, judging by the behavior that the, I'm so better, I'm more superior than your, the other lady would have been going. But, let's see.
They didn't reopen it for almost a week. Number 14. I worked at McD's in the late 90s, and we had around a 400 or 500 pound woman try to get into the Playplace. She got in and up to the middle level of the 3-level play tower and got stuck in a tube. We had to call 911, who had to get a crane and unbolt the tube and lift her and the tube out, then cut the tube off of her. She looked like a pig stuffed into a giant yellow straw. Our Playplace was out of order for 4 months while we waited for replacement parts. I couldn't believe that she thought it was a good idea anyway. The whole tube was bowing while she was stuck in there for almost 4 hours. The fire department used a ladder on the ladder truck to brace the tube because they were afraid it was gonna break, sending her crashing to the floor 15 or so feet below her. Number 13. I'm not an employee, but my aunt got stuck in the spiral slide once. Yeah, my aunt. She was like 40 at the time. I'm not really sure why she decided to go down the slide, but she did, and she didn't fit. They had to shut the play place down and call someone to pull her out. Number 12. I was a teenager, assumed 17 because I did reckless and stupid shit all the time when I was that age. Never anything really sinister though. Anyways, I was eating at the McDonald's off the 5 freeway in Carlsbad back when it still had a play place. There was hardly anyone at that location at the time, and I had a group of friends that needed impressing, of course. The plan didn't come together until I was collecting our trash on our tray. The trash went into the bin, but the tray stayed with me. I ran into the play place squealing with excitement, my friends shouting questions at me as I disappeared into the structure. I'd like to point out that I was fully sized, so trying to touch as little as possible was difficult. The entire kiddie mansion...
I mean, I think I'm not so fully grown because, you know, some doctors say, let's say, if I reach around 18, 20, let's say, that would be max age. But then again, the teacher said if I reach until 25, I'm still growing. So I'm around, let's say, 22. So shit. But judging with the fact, let's say, fully grown, and you know, I'm almost, let's say, of the size of a little male. You know, seeing how my weight would be and everything. So of course, let's say, having the mindset of a physician. I know I studied a theory about the laws of gravity and speed and everything. I don't know if lighter would have been if the lighter would it be, let's say, the faster could have been, but kinetic energy. Don't forget about that. Let's keep kinetic energy in mind because I'm suspecting something gonna have to do with it. Even though it's not even close, let's say, to the danger limit, but let me just reset it even still. So let's see what we got.
Smelled of piss. That was okay though because I had made it to my destination, the swirly slide. With the tray in hand, I situated myself at the top of the ride like someone trying for the Jamaican bobsled team. I never really thought about what would happen, I just thought it sounded awesome. I flew down that slide at about 1,000 miles per
That's where the kinetic energy starts to enter in play. Oh, and the thing is about the kinetic energy is that the reason why he went so fast as well is because, you know, the area of contact, let's say, comparing, let's say, him sliding down without the tray to comparing it to him sliding without the tray, let's say. So he was sliding with his tray, right? So the area of contact was a whole lot more, let's say, was a whole lot lesser. And, you know, seeing how sometimes plastic could be quite slippery. Weight, gravity, kinetic energy. Oh boy, you can see where this is going.
Per hour. The end of the slide, the part of my ride I neglected, perhaps on purpose, was aimed directly at the glass wall of the establishment. 1 second I was in a tunnel of hellish excitement, the next I was flying into a sheet of glass. No, it didn't break, but I knocked myself out, and the window was fucked. It didn't shatter, but definitely needed repairs. When I came to, I looked inside to see the cashier, their customer, the manager, and the only person standing in line staring at me. My friends were already halfway out the gate when I realized I should leave. Number 11. Had this fat kid get stuck in the play place, and when I was sent in to pull him out, I got sued for reckless endangerment of a child and inappropriate contact with a child.
Sometimes, this is what pisses me off at some point. You want to go out there and help a child, but the only problem is that you get sued for reckless endangerment of a child and inappropriate touch of a child. I mean, yeah, nice right, and this is why no one saves you, because you're always wanting to rip off something away from them. Jesus Christ. Oh, and not to mention as well the fact that, but let's say every time I'm around YouTube, sometimes the B-movie I don't know what it is, but it's swarming the freaking internet. It's literally everywhere. Probably happens to you as well, but who knows. Anyways, continue on.
I seriously wanted to punch the parents. Fuckers got me fired and held me in court for 3 months. Number 10. I worked at McD's way back in the day, 13 years ago, and before I started, a kid climbing on top of the equipment fell off and broke his arm. A photographer came to the store to take photographs of the equipment for the pending lawsuit. The store manager gave the okay, and the guy went out to do what he came to do. The owner of our franchise came in, found out that the guy was outside on the playground, and went out to confront the guy. After a few heated comments, the store owner starts to shove the photographer, telling him to get the hell off my property with kids watching. All the kids came running into the store screaming and crying while parents tried to dodge the now full-out fist fight on the playground. 2 grown men screaming and punching while kids were screaming like Jesus was on them. I didn't last long at that job. Number 9. My sister had to clean piss that went from the top of the slide to the bottom. She started at the top like an idiot and lost her.
I know the pain about that because, I've been through because when I was a preteen, I've been through an unfortunate series of events of a piss-stained freaking, I don't know. It's horrifying, I'll tell you that.
Footing. Number 8. There was a kid's birthday party and they were having a group photo taken in front of the Playplace. At my brother's suggestion, I went to the top of the Playplace and photobombed their photos by pushing my ass against the porthole. One of the parents had those instant print cameras and the kids were crowding around looking at it. I sneaked a peek to check out my photobomb and my ass turned out majestic. I still like to think that the photo is framed somewhere to this day on someone's mantelpiece. Number 7. I worked at McDonald's 6 or 7 years ago, and once a child pissed at the top of the Playplace. The stairs are split level the whole way down, so it became a cascading waterfall of urine. This is where things start to get weird. McDonald's is an equal...
So, I know you can hear a little bit of echoing and whatnot, but I managed to setting it a little bit, but so now I'm starting to realize how the piss-drenched child matching plaything. It's a common issue, that's for sure. Maybe they should make a built-in bathroom up there as well. Who knows?
Full opportunity employer, and we had hired a mentally handicapped lady to clean the dining area. She was the first employee alerted to the situation by one of the children. This mentally handicapped lady immediately scolded the child and told him to clean it up and gave him a bar towel. This child did exactly what he was told and began crying as he became drenched with piss. He ran out of the Playplace and explained to his mother what had transpired. The mother, furious, stormed to the counter to demand a manager. She was ready to sue McDonald's and settle out of court for a large undisclosed amount. The cleaning lady was dismissed. I should also mention that yours truly had to clean the Playplace in the end. Fuck. Number 6. Some little kid shit in the twisty slide, but it was in the middle of the slide.
Oh boy. I don't know what type of laughter that was, but literally, that type of kid really exists. And by God, when I'm a parent, I really won't have to deal with this type of shit. If that ever happens. But anyways, gotta be really careful as well because holy shit.
So the kids at the top couldn't see it. So kids would slide down unknowingly into a makeshift shit and slide and get shit on their backs, faces, back of their head, hands, etc. It was horrendously disgusting. Worst day of my life. Number 5. McDickhole's employee here. No Playplace at my location, but I'm gonna vent about mostly irrelevant things so you have some insight about working fast food. Lunch rush, 8-hour shift, hungover as fuck working the register. People ordering Happy Meals. Not specifying which Happy Meal, just saying a Happy Meal. Me, which Happy Meal would you like? Parent bends down to their child to ask. Child mumbles, hides head in shame. Meanwhile, the line is growing longer as customers become more disgruntled. A bead of sweat begins to form on my brow as the mother tells her child to tell me which meal. An eternity elapses before mere infant utters its first incomprehensible words. Once again, child whispers something in Gaelic. Sorry, I didn't quite get that. Small baby babbles, parent will not clarify. Time to guess. Orders a large sweet tea, 3 McDoubles, and a large fry. She's watching her weight, so she asks for no salt on the fries. Sees no irony in this. We have to make a whole new batch of fries for this request. She stops talking. Will that be all for you? She says yes. But what she's meant to say was no, because she continues to order more food almost as soon as I press the pay now button on the register. Orders more lard. Alright, will that be here or to go? Looks to child. Gazes towards dining room. Looks up for something, anything, she just wants a sign. For go. My brain has now melted. Blood trickles out of my ear. There's no for go button on my register. So I make a guess once again. There's no way I've gotten this order correct. I accept.
1 second, I gotta reset the time. Oh, jeez. I kind of feel bad now for the poor man to go through this.
Defeat. Alright, that'll be 2367. The woman's face drops. The room is absolutely silent except for the racing beat of my heart. I thought sweet teas were $1. They used to be $1 all over the country. Her rage is building as I stutter. They used to be, now they're $1.19. The extra 19 cents is blood money in this business. Nostrils flare, a pissed off sigh. She now wants me to change the price even though I'm clearly a minimum wage employee, not the CEO of McDonald's. You people are robbing us blind. Woman has mistaken me for a commissioned salesperson instead of a cashier. She now proceeds to go through the price of every item she ordered to only find that yes, indeed, our register is capable of simple addition. She hands me 23 ones and a bucket of change that somehow only amounts to 65 cents. I'm sorry, I still need 2 more cents. Rolls her eyes but forks it over. Alright, your order number will be 267. The order has taken all but 2, maybe 3 minutes tops. But now the orderly line has turned into an impatient lynch mob. They feel hunger, not for McChickens or those precious McNuggets, but for blood. I, on the other hand, thirst for liberation. My lips manage to bend awkwardly into a smile as I say, I can help whoever's next. A large man walks over and says, "Are you guys still serving breakfast?" I respond saying it's 2 p.m. Alright then, I'll just have a shamrock shake. It's December. Number 4.
Oh,
Some kid climbed.
Jeez, just take a look at that. Just take a look at that face. Tell me if it doesn't look satanic or something like that. But anyways, wow. I mean, of course, let's say when we work around, let's say in a fast food restaurant like that, and you know, some people just really just keep on holding in line everything. We just want to get a police baton like this, just beat them up with it, and just I can have whoever's next, please, and stuff like that. Because literally, the boss is a minimum wage employee. So what the fucking expect of them? Jeez.
All the way to the top of the slide and took his goddamn pants off and slid down the slide. Problem is, he shat the whole way down. There was a fucking trail of shit spanning the entire second half of the slide. We only found out because some other fucking kid slid down that slide and came out covered in chunky liquid shit and began crying uncontrollably. Number 3. Kid vomited and proceeded to pick up fistfuls of chunks and throw them at other children, who then vomited. We closed the play place for like 2 weeks to have the whole thing heavy duty cleaned and sterilized by a hire out company. She yelled, "I'll show you clean," ripped the hazard tape off the door, broke the lock on the door, and proceeded to put her finger down her throat and barf all over.
Wow.
That was right before I quit. The last thing I heard, she was trying to sue our owner, stating that the chemicals in the...
I would really just... I give up. I would just literally just grab my head and just throw it in the ground, get the apron, fuck this. Even if we just share that, just take it off, just throw it away. Even if it was a girl, it's right. I would just be so pissed off, I wouldn't just give a shit anymore. I was, fuck this. But of course, keep the pants on, of course. Because literally, this type of asshole, you would want to sneak behind, just snap their neck, just give them like a good crunch. And then when it gives a good crunch, let's say, you can imagine the throat, let's say, be closing up, and when they're vomiting, everything's just gonna start building up pressure over there and just gonna start gurgling blood and vomit and then they die. Jesus Christ. I need help.
The play place, which she broke into, made her sick and she was hospitalized. Number 2. I will now tell the story of the best thing I ever saw in Playland. This was at Burger King, not McDonald's.
Oh.
In the South, these things are simply called Playland. A few years ago, me and my kids were eating at Burger King, and of course we had to eat in Playland because kids. Burger King had at this time installed talking garbage cans in there. This was probably intended as a way to get kids to throw out their own trash so employees wouldn't have to do it so much. Whoever designed those things knew nothing about children. Pushing your garbage in past that spring-loaded flap, which says thank you on it. The trash can would say thanks for the garbage or something like that. You know, things a talking trash can would say. Any parent could tell you what would happen next. Children know that trash cans cannot actually speak, so each successful child, having been congratulated by the trash can, would do the obvious thing and put his head inside the trash can to see who's in there. Then the spring-loaded thank you flap would swing shut and grab the children by the neck in a manner of a squirrel trap. And they could not get their heads back out. There would be flailing and muffled screams, and they would have to be rescued by their mom. This would happen.
Oh boy. I want to see, let's say, does someone, please tell me this, like, there's like a video of this one that I could watch. Just, please tell me there's a video of this happening. I really, really want to see it. I might be a little bit sadistic, but I just want to see if it really happening.
Happen over and over and over again. Kids of a certain age will put their heads into a talking trash can even if they just saw the last kid get garroted by it. It kind of makes them even more curious. Just one kid after another getting choked by this evil instrument of torture. Thanks for the trash. It was the best thing I'd ever seen.
Some kids, you might be wondering if they're worthy, let's say, pulling out and rescue them. Or if you just would lift them up from their feet and just push them into the freaking garbage can. Which then the garbage can would say, thank you for the garbage. And then there would be someone, thanking for the garbage, am I right? Ah, jeez.
Kids leave, new kids take their place. New victims for the magic trash can. I never got tired of it. Next time we went to Burger King, they weren't there anymore, but I hope someday they will come back for another try. Number 1. So my brother and I
remember that one. Jeez.
About 12 and 10 respectively, scarfed down our meals and started exploring the play area. Now this wasn't your average play place. It was huge and they had these weird child-sized, hardish stuffed animals attached to the floor with Velcro.
Which of course obviously meant that they spend crazy amounts of, well, let's say, funds on it.
I didn't know who came up with them or how they were meant to be played with, but they resembled a harder, lighter punching bag in texture. Back to the story though. Our stepmom sat below finishing her food while she glanced upwards every now and then to make sure we were okay. My brother and I soon parted ways in the massive structure. Sometime later, a random kid and I squeezed past each other while crossing paths in one of the tubes. As soon as we were clear, he glared back at me and growled, "Touch me again and I'll slit your fucking throat." Now this child couldn't have been any older than me, so you can understand my shock at hearing this uttered by a child that was no older than 10. As if he had a weapon. He was gone before I could process what he said and I didn't retort. Oh well, back to playing. I guess some kids are just crazy. Sometime later, my brother and I met at the top of the spiral slide. Being that he got there before me, he went down first. As I'm sliding down the spiral, I hear an argument unfolding below. As I emerge from the bottom of the play place, the scene becomes clear. Psycho Kid was all up in my brother's face, screaming unintelligible threats. I guess the little shit took his time getting off the slide and my brother slid right into him. The kid is getting more and more aggressive, screaming louder and getting physical, shoving my brother's chest like the little bitch thugs always do when they're trying to intimidate.
Typical.
My brother, who, I'll point out, is a head taller than this fucking delinquent, is keeping his cool and trying to tell the shit to fuck off. The kid's dad is nearby, and get this, the hick-ass greaseball mumbles, "You tell him, Jimmy," in between mouthfuls of burgers. A couple things went through my head before I acted. The kid's unfortunate excuse for a father couldn't care less if the world ended tomorrow. My brother can't as well beat this younger asshole without some chance of repercussions. My approaching stepmom is a good 5-10 seconds away on the other side of the play area, and I need to reassert my dominance over this hillbilly spawn. I needed to reassert my dominance over this hillbilly spawn whose best experience with violence probably comes from WCW or the WWE. He didn't see me coming. I ripped a nearby giant duck from its Velcro binding and brandished it by the tail, charging towards this violent little brat. I don't even think he turned around at all. The first blow hit him square in the back with all my weight behind it. He tumbled onto the floor in front of my brother, gasping for air. I guess I knocked the wind out of him, but I wasn't finished. "Slit my fucking throat, will you?" I shouted with every swing. He was crying for his daddy, but by that time my stepmom had already dragged us away. She was about to end the trip early before we explained the situation. In the end, she decides not to punish me, gives a heavy sigh, and chalked it up to another case of small town madness. Got an idea for a top 15 list? Be sure to leave it in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for future videos. Thanks for watching.
Wow, can you imagine that? Slit my fucking throat! 1 second. Well, yeah, even though we have here the top 15, 7-11 hilarious stories, yeah, I know there's like a whole lot more that we could react to and everything, but you know what? Let's go for Walmart, which is right here. Bada bing, bada boom.
Number 15.
Oh.
A few years back, I worked at Walmart as an assistant manager. I was working at 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. shift, and the overnight manager called off sick. So I stayed until 4 a.m. so someone working mornings could come in early and we could have it covered. Anyway, it was February in northern Illinois. The temperature outside at 2 a.m. was about 6 degrees. At about 2:30, I get a call over the walkie-talkie to come up to the pharmacy and that you've got to see this. I went up to the pharmacy and see two younger guys. One was dressed in a lifeguard's outfit complete with a thick coating of sunscreen on his nose. The other was dressed in a complete walrus costume. I have followed these guys through the store to make sure that they weren't going to do anything stupid like pull fire alarms, and caught up with what everyone was doing stocking shelves. I lost contact with them because they weren't bothering anyone and just went about my business. About half an hour later, I make my way up to the front registers and ask the cashier if she had seen the lifeguard and the walrus. She said that not only did she see them, but they made a purchase. The lifeguard found some sunscreen in the clearance aisle, and the walrus got a pack of salmon from the seafood department. They paid with cash and went on their way. Number 14. I was a customer service manager, or CSM, for 3 or 4 years. CSMs are in charge of the cashiers, stockmen, and surprisingly customer service. Most of it was fine, nothing special. People wanting to return things, I'd approve unless it was grossly old or against policy.
Oh, I can already even start to imagine what this is going to be about. But let's see how this will work out, how this will be regarding the effect of the abomination that we see here. Oh.
Then there was this guy. This guy was in his 40s, probably, and at least 400 pounds, and he stunk. Anyway, he came to return underwear, used, obviously used, with skid marks and everything. He said the waistband didn't last. Well, yeah, they were size 38 and he needed a 50 at least. I denied their return on sanitary grounds, that we couldn't return used undergarments for any reason. This was true. I made a mental note to bleach the counter when he left and turned to leave. I then heard the counter creaking. I turned to find 400 pounds of that guy trying to climb the counter to attack me, while wheezing that my 220 pound, 6'2" skinny ass had insulted him, and he was gonna make me pay. Somehow he made it over the counter but landed face down on the other side. Still a bit shocked at what was going on, I put my foot on his back to keep him from getting up and called for management assistance. He was escorted out by the management and barred from the store.
Well, I guess you can call that a boomer attack. Oh, Jesus Christ.
For life. I got an extra 15-minute smoke break. I returned from break to find that guy's underwear still on the counter. No one wanted to touch them. I used the longest pair of tongs I could get from the kitchen area and threw the underwear and the tongs in the garbage compactor. By far the weirdest thing that has ever happened to me. Number 13. Alright, so I was working the register in the garden area of a small store. It was always really slow, and I don't think half of the other workers knew it existed. We had a ton of regular customers that we saw all the time. It was almost the opposite of what you think when you think Walmart. Anyway, it was in a very ethnic area of Southern California. Not a lot of English was thrown around. There was this one guy that was pretty fresh off the border. He was always super jazzed when he came in over all the shit there was to buy. He had been coming for a couple weeks. I don't think he ever spent more than $5 in a purchase.
Yeah, coming to know the story about it, and I think sometimes the images the guy puts might be a little bit satirical, but if the guy really looks like that, I think he might be your typical thinks he's so cool, middle-age crisis man, some stuff like that.
So one day, I see him come around the corner with the biggest jar of pickles I think we could legally sell, and this guy looks so goddamn amped about it. He slid up onto the counter and just stared at me. I was like, hell yeah man, that's how shit's done around here, and mentioned for him to bring it around so I could hit it up with the price gun. He had an awkward angle on it and drops it straight on the floor. Pickles start flying fucking everywhere. He looks at me like he just shot my dog or something, and then just starts blitzing for the exit. I mean, this guy was dipping so damn hard. I can guarantee it's the fastest he's ever ran. I come around out of the little register area and watch him lay rubber through the store. The exit in the garden center was like 10 feet away, but this guy heads for the exit on the other side of the store. I see him make it a good 70 or 80 yards and then turn the wrong way and run into the clothing department. It's a dead end and he realizes it immediately. He was like a deer caught in a coffee shop. At first he tries to duck behind the clothes racks, decides that's a terrible decision, and starts jetting in the other direction for the door, and after a good 45 seconds makes his great escape to freedom. No one knew what was going on. The manager starts freaking out thinking there was a shooting or something, and I'm just standing there watching it unfold. I'm not sure how to react to it all just yet. I turn around and look at the other customers in my line, and we have all came to the fairly unanimous decision that it's the funniest thing any of us will ever see, and no one ever knew about it aside from us. Maintenance came and mopped up the pickles, and it was never mentioned again. Number 12. I don't work at Walmart, but I went into Walmart to get something for my son. I asked the younger fellow in the game section if they had a wheel for the Wii U since my son had just gotten Mario Kart for his birthday and loves it, and asked for a wheel with the extra birthday money he had received. He walks me over to the section with all the controllers and starts beeping away on one of those handheld beeper price things. He drops the handle to his sides, looks up in the air, sighs loudly, and starts mumbling. Then out of nowhere shouts, "Fuck Linda, fuck you. You can go fuck yourself, you are so stupid." He turns to me and says the stupid cunt I work with has no idea how to do anything. He throws us what I can assume is a few $100 device on the ground and it breaks into pieces and storms off saying, "I'll be right back. I'm gonna go call that stupid bitch and put her in her place." I backed away slowly and left. I went to Target and got it. Number 11. Someone returned a mango to the store saying they didn't need it anymore. Was returned cut up into 3 different slices and stitched back together with scotch tape.
Possibly that type of image you just saw, and I don't know if it just paused in the best frame ever, or I don't know, but what the fuck is going on here? Let me just reset the timer. Shit.
Number 10. I used to work at Walmart in Northeast Tennessee, so I've seen my fair share of weird. People often show me the People of Walmart site, and I have to explain this was an everyday occurrence at that location. We had this particular family. We called them the incest family. Not very creative, but not the point. They would come into the store at least once a week. It was a middle-aged woman and what had to be her 2 brothers. They all looked exactly the same. Big Coke bottle glasses, messy matted hair, and poor hygiene. The female, I use this term loosely, would kiss both of the other guys on the mouth while walking through the store. It was a strange relationship. They all held hands and were close and cuddly with each other. The worst part is, they smelled. I mean smelled. We're talking cat piss, vomit, and Britney Spears fantasy all rolled into one. They would walk through the Walmart on a crowded Saturday and the ocean of people would part like Moses was standing on bottled water and holding his staff above the crowd. The places they walked would remain that way for a minute or so until this horrid odor disappeared and normal breathing could be had. I'm years away from that place, yet that memory still haunts me. I once had to sell them an answering machine, and that interaction is why I shower twice daily. Number 9. Cousin was back on stocking shift around the dairy place with all the yogurt and milk and cheese and whatnot. A few kids came by, about 12 or 13, and were getting jugs of milk, probably inspired by gallon smashing, and were looking around cautiously. But since they had people everywhere, the kids couldn't really do it and have the same appeal as gallon smashing had. These kids altogether probably had 5 or 6 jugs of milk, and my cousin comes by and asks them if they need help with anything. Time passes and the kids move to another aisle with their jugs while my cousin subtly follows them. In an aisle with no one around, a kid with a jug throws it onto the ground and obviously the jug explodes and this kid slips into the milk. My cousin calls for a supervisor and tells them they'll have to pay for it. Well, since they're kids, they didn't want to, so they booked it. The kid at the front had 2 jugs and legitimately slipped, which made them both explode, and all 3 of the kids fell and were covered in chocolate milk. My cousin said it's the most justifying thing he's ever seen. Number 8. One time this woman saw some ice cream in one of our ads, and we didn't actually carry it because we aren't a super center. Needless to say, I almost got punched in the face. She couldn't fathom the idea of us not carrying this raspberry ice cream. She was talking like, "What? No, it's in your ad. Why? Where is it? It should be right here." After explaining in fine detail the reason we didn't carry it, she got right in my face and yelled at me at the top of her lungs. Her boyfriend just stood there and watched without emotion. She was most definitely cracked out on something. Number 7. It was Saturday afternoon around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was sort of just moping around like usual. I was a customer service manager, so anything that involved a crazy customer usually went through me first, and today was no different. A middle-aged lady came up to me and asked if I could page a certain customer because her elderly father was out in the truck and was screaming out of the truck door for someone to come find his daughter. Well, I paged and didn't get a response in the usual amount of time, so I went outside to see if I could give this guy some help with anything. I didn't make it past the first set of doors because I saw a commotion and it took no time to figure out what the issue was. The elderly man was attempting to get out of the truck ass first and was, what appeared to be, taking off his pants. The lady that came in to ask me to page was apparently not the only...
Really? Really? What the fuck is going on? Wow, you know what? I think I just got myself a bit of a crazy idea and it might be some the best thing ever. You know what? Sometimes fans do get thirsty and they need a drink. Oh, they do need a drink. But you know what? Let's just press this video first and then we're gonna see about the 7-Eleven one as well.
Only person that had been concerned with this elderly gentleman screaming because there was now, I shit you not, a police vehicle already there with its lights on, and there was an ambulance on its way into the parking lot. No one knew exactly what to do, so the emergency responders simply asked if he needed assistance and if he was safe and unharmed. The man, if he did in fact hear, made no acknowledgement of their presence. He continued to pull his pants completely around his ankles and shit what could only be described as a chocolate fountain turned upside down out of ass. It was a massive load of doo-doo and was basically liquid syrup and chunks of undigested items. At this point, an additional ambulance had arrived and 1 fire truck. He shit for what seemed like ages before simply pulling his pants up, no wipe mind you, and slid back into his rightful place in the passenger seat. Not a single fuck given. The police went over to the window and made sure he was okay, and the paramedics went in and found his daughter, who was completely oblivious to the paging that had been occurring until she was already checking out. My manager at the time was standing next to me and turned to me and told me to run and grab the body fluids blood kit and some bleach off the shelf and go take care of that with the janitors. Both the maintenance person on the clock and myself refused outright. We both told her we were paid nowhere near enough to go clean that pool up. She must have known we were serious and simply grabbed the kit and did it herself. I felt bad for her, but I couldn't do it. It was hot outside and I can only imagine the smell would only make me add to the mess. Number 6. Former...
I know if it may not be a good idea or not, but... Just If it's possible, wouldn't it just be better to let it in the sun and let it dry before you clean it up, or do they have to go directly like that? Because Jesus fucking Christ, you're literally killing yourself.
A Walmart employee, hope that counts. Not nearly as weird as some of these, but I watched a disgruntled employee spear 5 or 6 TVs with the forklift-like picker used to pull pallets off the top shelves in the back. He said he was sick of the job and had done everything he could think of to get fired, but wasn't having any luck. It was near Christmas, and they apparently needed people so badly he didn't get fired over this either. After coming back from a talk with the manager, he finished his shift, now banned from using anything bigger than a pallet jack. And when his shift was over, he said, "Fuck it, I'm not coming back. If that didn't get me fired, I don't know what will." Number 5. One time I was coming off break and passed 2 older men. They looked a little odd, but I could only glance at one of them at first, which caused me to stop and turn around.
You can already tell by this employee's face that, she looks concerned over something. And I also wonder what it is. But, I don't know. If it's really that bad, then may God give me a Litten, a Turacat, an Incineroar, a Papolio, and all the starter Pokemons of Sun and Moon, cause why the fucking hell not?
2 men in what looked like their mid-50s with tan skins wearing Bavarian barmaid dresses complete with shoes and pigtails were walking through the store shopping. I made eye contact for a moment and got the most serious look from one of them. They were acting like it wasn't unusual at all. To this day, I'm not sure what was going on. There were no events in that area at that time where people would be dressed up. Number 4. Tail end of the academic year near a local sketchy university. 20-something comes in to return a futon. It's clearly been in use for several years, despite their protesting. At the time, if you pitched enough of a fit, a manager would put anything on a gift card for its current store value. Off the top of my head, I want to say $50, but it could have been $100. Anyway, this thing was disgusting.
Just call the recycling department and get it over with.
Every imaginable stain was clearly visible. To do this kind of no receipt return with no visible barcode, someone had to get a UPC and then the supervisor had to use a key to override or approve the return. This happened around 10:30 p.m. when your second shift is usually wrapping up. Gotta be gone by 11. Anyway, the cash office lady was on her break, so all the cashiers were milling around while I waited on someone to get the UPC or override the return. The whole time the cashiers are making fun of the futon and busting on its condition. All the while the customer is silently sitting there fuming as they take stabs at the mystery stains. The cashiers had no clue the customer was the individual associated with the futon. Anyway, the final cashier rolls up, takes one look at it and is like, "Are we taking this back? Are we taking this back?" I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much," to which she loses it. She goes off mentioning the most suspect stains. About this point, a manager walks up to key in the override. I complete the transaction and give the customer their gift card. All of the cashiers lose it, just laughing and pointing. The college kid storms out, furious. Totally worth it for the store to eat the futon for this kid to be embarrassed. Number 3. Saw a drugged out woman take a shit right on the little girl's toy aisle. Then she turned to some little Asian girl probably no more than 5 years old watching her and yelled at her, "Yeah, you want to eat that up, don't ya? 'Cause your mama ain't putting food on your table no more."
Not just that something gross, but why the fuck would you ever say that to someone like that? And of course I got myself my ingrown toenail. I need to pass some meds on it if I ever want to see this thing in one piece ever again. You know what? I'll pour in just a little bit. Of course it can go bad, but you know what? Murphy's Law. Everything can go wrong. Shit. Well, you know what? I just spoke too soon. So, shit. So yeah, now my foot is covered in It's covered in this. I don't know if you can see it or not, and I've left quite a bit of a puddle on my ground. And now wherever I step, it's always... Oh, jeez. Let me just get this out of here, but I think it's nothing toxic anyway, but don't know if you were able to see it, but there you go. Supposedly, I don't know how to end the damn thing here, but this is how everything's looking around for me. Okay, now let's get back to what we are originally doing.
Number 2. I work at the customer service desk, so I've seen some pretty messed up stuff, but the following story is the most insane thing I've seen this week. A few nights ago, I was in a pretty bad mood. I had just found out that I am one science behind on graduating, so I have to take an extra class this fall. I'm pretty good at settling myself down, but if something goes wrong in that time, well, it spins me back up again. The lines are long, people are upset, but the night hasn't gone too terribly bad. There are 2 of us working the desk and one at the money center. A lady, possibly the grandmother, is carrying her little granddaughter, maybe, who is about the age of 2. She's doing a simple return and she actually had the receipt. For the majority of the duration of her little transaction, the little girl is yelling at the guardian that she needs to go pee-pee, but the grandmother, not wanting to stand in line again, insists that she holds it. All good so far. We get to the portion of the transaction where she receives her money and signs a slip saying the return is valid. The child then begins to pee. For whatever reason, this kid, no, not a baby goat, isn't wearing a diaper, so the urine begins to collect in a child-sized puddle on the desk. Instead of keeping the AOE to a minimum, the grandmother, in an act of desperation, swings the child in a broad circle to the right.
Why the fucking hell would you swing the poor kid? Even though not just there's a puddle of piss on the desk, but if there was anyone around, she might have just, I don't know, just sprayed them as well with kid piss as well. And this is not something horrible.
Right, causing pee to windmill around the desk and
See? That's what I mean.
To the patiently waiting customers in line behind her.
I was also right.
It was like a protractor but with pee, the nana being the pivot. Instead of offering to help clean, the lady runs out of the door with the baby and her cash, and she didn't even sign the receipt. Who cleaned it up, you ask? Well, due to the urgency of the situation, I collected a mountain of paper towels and an ocean of disinfectant and had to clean it up myself. Number 1. I worked at Walmart for about a year, but was not technically a Walmart employee. I was part of a company that handles the books and music. Anyway, I usually try to keep to myself and never really talk to anyone. Every now and then there'd be a stray employee that would browse through the books, killing time I suppose, while I was stalking.
So there was one employee that was procrastinating and, of course, rummaging, stalking through the books. A little suspicious, if you ask me. Now, 1 second. Now, to what will this end up in? I have no clue whatsoever.
One guy would come by maybe once a week, chat for maybe 10 minutes, and leave. He was a little weird, but never really creeped me out or anything. Mostly we just talked about what books we like or what was coming out soon. One day, he tells me that his ancestors are Cherokee Indians. At this point I'm thinking, yeah, sure buddy. Where I'm from, everyone claims to have a Cherokee background. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and freckles? Yep. Gotta be Cherokee for sure. That's not the point of my story though. This man proceeds to explain to me that the other side of his family are Wood Elves, and that the Wood Elves had a close relationship with the Cherokee Indians. He proved this point to me by showing me how pointy his ears were. I could not think of a single thing to say to this guy, so I just kinda smiled and nodded in some sort of agreement. Walmart can be such a weird place. Got an idea for a top 15 list? Be sure to leave it in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for future videos. Thanks for watching, and a big thank you to Kenneth, our new editor.
What the fuck? And what the fuck am I seeing here as well? Top 10 most what the fuck families shopping at Walmart. What do we got here? Okay, so we got here, let's say, a woman here. Probably not the hottest type. In a Confederate flag bikini. She looks grossly body type. But the man, I don't know what the fuck is he wearing, if it's a thong or something like that. This Peter definitely isn't. Or I don't know what the fuck it is, probably might be even another bikini bottom. And he's walking around brandishing all his extra facial hair around. Top 15 YouTube videos got people arrested. I bet so, because if you take a look at her face, she looks a little to be happy to be brandishing all that money, and then you get yourself into jail. Like, yeah, congratulations. Jeez. Alright, now let's see. Top 15 hilarious night shift stories.
Number 15. So I get this job.
Well, I can definitely assure you that, of course, you know, being my furry experience, and of course, I see myself furry deer in a 7-Eleven. I know that by the pose of the way how this deer is, like, the only thing that goes through my mind is like, something's about to go wrong. Plus, again, speaking about furries as well, that even though, let's say, for my background of what the shit I've been through, that's something I've mostly, how would I say? Let's say, either, let's say, someone who's black is obviously being judged to primates, or someone Asian who's judged to fish, or a white man that's just literally being judged to a cookie. That's me, because just because I'm a hedgehog, people just keep on slandering me. I'm a friggin' Sonic character all the damn time. Despite the fact that I know I look like a, well, the icon looks like a Sonic character, but, well, there are two reasons. Because for one, I do have to admit that yes, I did grew out of that one to the furry, and of course I left some few nasty traits that I'm, you know, trying to organize and whatnot. And the other reason why do I still have the looks of that, because Sega and the Sonic franchise, I mean, you know, if you recount again the success they have in the past, I mean, they defined how the proportions of hedgehogs should be like, and so I'm sorry, but that's how things are. If you think about furry and hedgehog, the only thing that you're gonna think about is either Sonic the Hedgehog and characters, or Sonic the Hedgehog and characters, and no more than that. And that's what I have to deal with. And of course, being constantly bullied as well at some point because of my looks. Yeah. Of course, I feel great. But anyways, we're not rambling.
Job working at a convenience store in a shady part of town. They didn't care about my age and paid me under the table. So I was working the 9 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift, and this place is in the ghetto. This means I was working the fucking hell shift. One night in particular was more outrageous than the others. That would be Deer Man. At about 3 a.m. this man walks into my store. He's wearing absolutely nothing but a deer hide. Now this wouldn't be too crazy if it didn't seem like a freshly skinned deer hide. Like, naked dude, deer hide hanging over his shoulders like some sort of demented Superman.
Forget everything I said up. Well, forget about the things I said about the furry deer, because apparently it's way more fucked up than you can ever imagine. Jeez.
With the fucking deer head on his head, antlers and all. He walked in and told me he had to find Santa. He was gonna save Christmas, and to do that he needed a free case of beer. When I told him no, he started stomping his feet and pointing his antlers at me. Finally, I gave him a case at half price. He made a hoarse sound and walked out. I was completely dumbfounded. Number 14. I used to work overnights at a popular gas station here in the Bible Belt. I am not from this part of the country, mind you.
Bible Belt. What a name. Oh boy, of course the paranormal things could happen over there because, you know, when you talk about religion, it's not the belief itself, but the alternate dimension, the parallel dimension of where we die. Who never knows to where our soul may end up at. But of course, you gotta keep on moving if you want to keep your memory, I'd say. But anyways, let's keep a move on.
Also, it should be noticed that I worked alone. Anyway, one night, two 20-somethings come in at around 3 or 4 a.m. The van they ride up in is in terrible shape. No front plate, one headlight out, etc. As I'm doing my regular cleaning, they are wandering around. I keep my eye on them and realize both have filled soda cups twice since they arrived. On top of this, I see them stealing What Would Jesus Do wristbands and necklaces and shirts. These are $20 a pop. I note it for my manager to look into on video the next day. They come to pay for the drinks they have, having been very sketchy and asking for all kinds of free handouts. I was already on edge and ready to see them go. I ring them up for 2 sodas plus 2 refills each, roughly $3.50 instead of $2. They flip out. One lady was black, the other white. Black lady starts calling me racial slurs and insists on my bigotry due to me overcharging her. I ask them to please leave and never come back. They point out on camera how they stole from me. As they leave, the piece of shit van they have isn't starting, and I had enough time to walk around it and record the license plate number, all while being berated. Van finally starts and they crank into reverse, going the entire way out onto the road in reverse without turning on the headlights. It causes someone to hit them. The person is livid and calls the police. Cops show up and ask my statement. I give them a rundown and ask if they had any What Would Jesus Do stuff on them, as they said they shoplifted it. Wow. They did indeed, and it was going on the list of charges. Sweet justice to me and the cop.
It's not that, you know, Christianity would be bad, despite the effects of bad apples and whatnot, but, if people do believe that Jesus walks among us, then the devil walks among us as well, possessing whatever type of people he could get his hands on, or she. We never know. Same as God as well. We never know until we ever see it with our 2 eyes. And of course, it might be going on with the theory of evolution, whatnot. In my opinion, God, when he made man, he didn't make him like the Garden of Eden. He just made him to a freaking, let's say, microbe, and then they started evolving, and then he washed it, and so on. Then, you know, you can pretty much make the links about it.
Laughed for a good 5 minutes about the whole thing. Number 13. I work as a night audit. Usually it's run-of-the-mill crazy, and sometimes it's just special. This old woman calls down to the front desk around 11 p.m. demanding that I turn off the cameras. At first I thought she meant the cameras in the hallway, and I explained that I can't. They're there for security reasons. Nope, she was convinced there were cameras installed in her room. I end up assuring her that I've turned off all the cameras in her room, and she hung up. My coworker just laughed and shrugged, and I sighed. I thought for sure I was gonna have a crappy night. Oddly enough, it was quiet, so I just assumed the old woman was just sleep calling or something. In the morning, just before shift change, the old woman comes down and starts just yelling and screaming at me about how I stole her soul with the cameras in the room and demanded that I sell it back to her. Just to make her shut up, I say okay. She smiles politely and
Well, if Jesus walks among us, then the devil walks among us as well. Holy shit.
and then hands me a $500 Monopoly bill and thanks me for being such a nice young girl.
A 500 Monopoly bill. Well, again, that could be something like that. If not like a real money, could be, let's say, more risky and whatnot, but well, at least it worked out well, I suppose.
She drinks her coffee and eats breakfast like nothing has happened. Number 12. I'm a manager at a cell phone store. One night when I was particularly busy, an elderly lady walked up to the counter. She was visibly upset to the point where I thought she may have a nervous breakdown. She takes a deep breath, appears to compose herself to convey a horrific story to me, and says, "No matter what I do, I cannot get a dial tone on my cell phone. I've tried for hours. I have had this phone for years and I cannot afford another one." I inform her that I can take a look at her phone to determine the issue and hopefully resolve it for her without her having to purchase a new phone. She solemnly reaches into her purse and pulls out the phone. The first thing I notice is that it looks nothing like any of the phones that we carry, and then I see across the top of the device it says Toshiba. Trying to keep my composure as well as not to embarrass her, seeing how distraught she was, I said, "Ma'am, that's a remote control for a television." She immediately becomes infuriated and yells, "You don't have to be such an ass about it," snatches her remote control from the counter and storms out through a store full of customers. Number 11.
Did I hear that right? Goes in, complaining about the phone, how cannot make calls. See, it's a freaking remote control. And then he says, points at the remote control, like, "You don't have to be such an ass about it." So on, I mean, like, jeez. Huh?
I was working third shift in January in Iowa. About 4 a.m. a guy enters the store only wearing boots and boxers. He asks for water. I point to the coffee machine, and as I was beginning to explain that he would need a cup of ice because the water is extremely hot, he puts his mouth to the spout on the coffee machine and starts chugging. He finished and left the store and starts running down the street. About 30 seconds later, a cop car pulls up with the car lights on and came inside. I just pointed in the direction the guy was running down the street, and the cop said thanks and drove after him. Number 10. I was proposed to by an elderly woman about 10 minutes before we closed. As I was ringing her up, she suddenly pulls out a ring, looks at me and says, "Nice cashier boy, will you marry me?" Her son, who was with her, came up and apologized and told me she had dementia. As they were leaving, she told me to keep the ring so I could give it to a nice girl one day. Number 9. I worked a late evening shift in a convenience store years ago. I remember the day I quit like it was yesterday. A customer came in, looking in pain and walking funny, and asked for the bathroom keys. He ran to the bathroom awkwardly with his legs pressed together, stayed in there for about 5 minutes, then came back, said thank you, and left. Later I went to the bathroom, opened the door, and there was shit everywhere. On the walls, on the mirror, on the floor, even on the fucking ceiling. I shit you not.
Let me just process that real quick. Shit, even with the ceiling. I don't know. Did this guy just reach out for his like belly button, like open it up, like bleh, went out everywhere. Jesus Christ. I feel bad now for the guy who had to clean this shit up.
Yes, pun intended. To have shit on the ceiling implies that he literally flung his poo around. I called my manager and quit on the spot. Number 8. I used to work at a homeless shelter on night shift. Saw a lot of odd happenings during those years, but by far the strangest thing was at night I thought I witnessed the beginning of a zombie apocalypse. Ned, a 35-year-old alcoholic, got up to have a smoke. I let him out into the courtyard and went to do some chores. This was at about midnight. So about 10 minutes later, I go look outside and Ned is gone. This isn't weird because, as noted, Ned is an alcoholic and it was still bar time. I sit at my desk and start doing paperwork when I hear rustling outside. I look up and I see Ned in the window with blood on his face. I open the door and ask him what happened. That's when he growled at me and ran forward with his arms out, so I slam the door and back away. Ned fumbles with the knob and growls some more. Another guy at the shelter comes by the office and sees this and slowly backs away. Ned then stopped trying to get in and began running around the yard growling and trying to climb a fence. I call 911 because I don't know what the fuck is happening. The dispatcher is so confused by my description that she says she will send police to talk to me. The cops show up and Ned runs at them growling. He hurls himself over the fence to do this. One cop pulls his gun while the other pulls a taser. Neither fire. I'm watching this from the window with the other client. The cops are yelling at Ned, who all of a sudden gets up, walks towards my door, grabs a cigarette butt, and lights up. The cops approach him with their weapons still out. He looks at them, smiles, and says, "I didn't do it, man." Turns out Ned has a seizure disorder that causes him to run around rather than fall over and shake. But
I'm scared about seizures now. Seizure that turns you into a freaking zombie. And not to mention as well, when there's like a, let's say, a social saying that when there's one, there's usually a whole lot more around. So watch yourself around, I'd say. One sec. Jeez.
to me, dude went full on zombie. Number 7. I worked night security for 2 years. One night, at around 2 a.m., an unnaturally thick fog rolled into town. I was sitting on a bench next to a big hill that drunks usually walk down. However, tonight, through the mist, came Jesus Christ, or at least a guy dressed like him. Everything. Robe, crown of thorns, sandals, sash, all the fixins. He simply walked by us, said, "Peace be with you," and disappeared into the mist again. It wasn't Easter or Christmas weekend, so it really made no sense why someone would dress up like that. Number 6. I worked the night shift at a 7-Eleven for years. One night, a woman came in to get coffee and she was crying. I made the mistake of asking her what was wrong. She started crying harder and told me a demon had touched her sweater and her angel wings had burned off. She started hysterically crying and told me she had to find a priest to bless her and her sweater. This was around...
So, supposing I'm a demon, I just touch your sweater like that, and your angel wings starts falling off and whatnot. I mean, ironically, I've encountered these types of people before, and holy shit, this is actually a little bit too unsettling for me. Oh well.
Around 2 a.m., she was inconsolable, had tears running down her face, and asked me, "Do you think my angel wings will grow back?" I tried to sound as optimistic as possible when I said, "I hope so." Number 5. A couple pulled up to get some gas after the bars closed. They were both drunk and arguing. The guy had gotten out and started to fill the car with gas when the chick came out of the car, snatched the nozzle, and sprayed him down in gas. While he was screaming and freaking out, she calmly opened the passenger door, reached into the glove box, and got out a small box of matches. She then...
What the fuck is going on? I don't know if, being drenched in gasoline, I would probably fight her, or run away, or run into the freaking store, into the bathroom. No matter if there's someone inside it, you just rip them out, and even if it's a smoky, just get the fuck out of here. And I would just stand myself into the freaking, I don't know, the default sin. Let's say, open it, just, I don't know, just freaking shove my arm inside, my leg. I shove my torso, my head. I don't know how much I would bathe myself in it. Jeez.
And started to flick them towards him off the box so they would be lit and sailing towards his gas-soaked body. He ran off up the highway and she was in hot pursuit. Number 4. A few weeks ago, I had this strange older guy come in. The thing was, he didn't just come in, he danced in, moonwalked in a way. He asked for a small package of Belmonts and I said, "Small in stature or in numbers?" I suppose he was charmed by this because afterwards he stuck around to chat with me. He gave me his card and said he was a lawyer, then did some weird coin flipping tricks and left. Number 3. A couple walk up to me that seemed to have just started dating. They're in that stage where they can't keep their hands off each other. They buy a pack of cigarettes and are practically screwing each other against my booth as I ring them up. As they walk away, I notice a white car pull up to them, and the couple and the driver begin talking. I begin the procedure to close the gas station. I exit my booth and notice that the three people aren't talking, but arguing. It becomes obvious that the driver of the car is the ex-girlfriend, and she was dumped so the guy could start dating the new girl. The last bit of conversation I hear is the guy saying, "Fuck you, if you're not gonna handle this rationally, we're done talking." The guy and girl start walking away. Girl in the car says, "Don't you walk away from me, you son of a bitch." She then floors it, missing the couple by a couple of feet at best. She then spins around in the parking lot and makes another attempt at it, barely missing one of my gas pumps in the process. She then takes off. I called 911 and security. She was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder.
Wow.
Number 2, 10 o'clock at night. I was informed by a cashier that a woman had been on one of the payphones for over 3 hours. This was before cell phones were common. I shrug it off. We have other payphones available. No one was complaining. She wasn't causing a scene. If she or the other person wanted to continue to pay for it, that's her problem. 11:30 comes rolling around. We close at midnight. Noting that she's still on the phone, I mention to her that we'll be closing in half an hour and that she'll need to continue her call from somewhere else at that time. She nods. I walk away. Midnight rolls around. We have a cop on duty on weekends who's making a sweep of the store to make sure no one is still inside that doesn't belong there. I walk over to the woman and tell her she's gonna have to leave because we're closed. She tells me to go fuck myself. I inform the cop of the woman. He walks over to her. Ma'am, it's time for you to leave now." She turns her back to the cop and continues talking. He then walks around to face her again, and she does the same thing. He's now agitated. "Get off the phone now." She shoves her hand in his
That's one telephone fetish, I'll tell you that.
face, turns her back again, and keeps talking. He grabs the phone and hangs up. She proceeds to jump on the cop and beat the shit out of him, which results in her getting arrested. Number 1 was patrolling a federal building.
That's what I'm trying to say. That I'm suspecting she had like a telephone fetish or something like that.
One night around 2 a.m. There's a flight of stairs that seems about 2 stories tall that leads from one area of the buildings down to the courtyard in front of the main building. I saw a guy leave one of the federal buildings with a briefcase and what I thought was a computer, but it turned out to be a skateboard. He proceeded to try to rail down the enormous amount of stairs on the handrail. He made it about 60% of the way down and then fell. He looked like he was mangled as he rolled down the last part of the stairs, briefcase still firmly in hand. I ran over to see if he was dead, and I got about 20 yards from him, and he jumped up, bleeding from his face and limping, grabbed the skateboard and whatever fell out of his pocket, and just got into a cab that had just pulled up and drove away. There was a trickle of blood all the way to where he got into the cab. After
mangled businessman with a skateboard who only made 60% of the stair railing on a skateboard. Wow.
Getting to the bottom of the stair area, he must have fallen down at least 200 feet of concrete stairs. It was insane, and I just kind of sat there and looked at it for about 20 minutes or so before going about my business. They had a video of it in the camera room inside, but only at the bottom of the stairs where it showed him get up and walk away. It was unreal. Got an idea for a top 15 list? Be sure to leave it in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe for future videos. Thanks for watching.
Holy shit. Didn't even know that would happen. Oh, and also, I do believe Mr. Fan here is a little thirsty. I'll take care of that. There we go. Now the things here are a-okay. Just a little bit lower. So, hold still. There we go. I have to put it over here. Yeah, mostly over here because I'm gonna have to go through over here. So there's that. Okay. Also, let's see. Here's what I do. It's just Johnny Bootlegger's one of my favorite brands. I'll tell you that. See? All filled up, right? Now, Hey, Mr. Fan, you must be a little bit thirsty. Mind if I Holy shit! Shit. Fuck. It's actually drinking it. It's like little by little being sucked out. I mean, take a look now. Wow. I'm so fucking unhappy of what I'm doing. But is it worth it? I have no clue. Still hear a few drips of liquor here. Yeah, I'm better off just throwing this all away. Just throwing this away. Okay, then just pour it down. Because yeah, apparently smoke is like liquid, which is strange. Also here. Oh shit! Great. Now I just dripped out liquor in my freaking fan blades now. Well, at least I got a little bit more than what I wanted. So at least there's that. Now I'm gonna have to get rid of this sooner or later. Oh well, what can I do, am I right? Anyways, then again, I probably should do, let's say, a camera that would, let's say, spin just a little bit more up to the side or whatnot. Okay, yeah, it's good. Oh well, what can I do? But yeah. But yes, what can I do, am I right? Oh, and, but yeah, so then I'm gonna hope you just want as much as I did, as I look forward for the next one. So I'll see you next time, and until then.